Every day, somewhere in the world, an act of terrible violence is likely to be committed. We've all seen the horrific television footage, from the concert hall in Paris to the Tunisian beach. But what if next time this was to happen in a British suburb? None of us want to dwell on the possibility of a terrorist attack, particularly in our area. And statistically speaking, the chances of being killed in a terrorist attack in the UK remain slim. Some experts suggest possibly in the region of 1 in a million. The more likely consequence from a terrorist attack will be contamination from a so-called dirty bomb, a device intended to spread deadly contaminants across a wide area. All risks terrorism insurance cover, which includes nuclear, chemical, biological and radiological attacks, has been available from the government-backed Paul Re scheme since 2003. As such, it would be considered prudent to ensure that in these troubled times, the block you manage or the block you live in is afforded this protection. But as ever with these matters, the biggest influencing factor remains the requirements of the lease. And some certainty was brought to this issue when some useful case law was set in the upper tribunal of the Lands Chamber in 2014, with the determination in the case of Qdime Limited v Bath Building Swindon. For more information on this ruling, visit our website. But it's also now possible to obtain significantly cheaper insurance cover, written in the Lloyd's market, and this may appear to be a tempting option. But as ever with something that looks like a great deal, the devil is in the detail. The Lloyd's options typically exclude nuclear, chemical, biological and radiological attacks. So in other words, they don't cater for an attack by the so-called dirty bomb. It's also important to understand the difference between the claims handling processes between the pool reinsurance scheme and most of the Lloyd's options. If you're covered for terrorism under the pool reinsurance scheme, then as part of that scheme, your buildings insurer will handle the claim from day one. And if it's later declared to be a result of that it's an act of terrorism, they'll be refunded for the cost of the claim by pool re. If, however, you've elected to buy a completely separate terrorism cover policy, underwritten in the Lloyd's market, then there is a significant risk that in the event of a claim, neither the buildings insurance nor the terrorism insurers will actually establish liability on day one. And they won't be able to start to handle your claim until such time as an act of terrorism has either been accepted or denied by Her Majesty's Government or Her Majesty's Treasury. That doesn't mean that insurance for terrorism from the Lloyd's market is not an appropriate action. However, before making this decision, which undoubtedly can be driven by price, you should consider the implications arising from the insurance covenants of your lease, and also ensure that you have an appropriate plan and sufficient service charge funds to handle the period of uncertainty whilst waiting to establish if an act of terrorism has been declared or not. At Midway, we would always recommend that blocks of flats, regardless of location, because a terrorist attack could happen anywhere, seriously consider taking out terrorism insurance. But before you sign on the dotted line, make sure you understand the implications of what you're buying. My name's Paul Robertson, Managing Director of First Shore Flats and Midway Insurance.